Guy, let me just tell you right now and just get it out of the way because it's so bizarre. Work with all kinds of people. There are definitely people that you work with when you do this for a living that are just so weird. You think that person could be a serial killer. This just happens to be true this time. So there's that mirror that pops in and out from time to time. Just go north Hollywood, just go up the 101 freeway and turn right. If you're going on maps on the 134, where it turns into the 210, I'm pretty sure, you'll see the Hollywood racetrack right there in Santa Anita. According to me, but according to the whole legal court system. How crazy is that, right? I'm not a bettor. I'm not a gambler at all. I just feel like even a quarter in a slot machine is saying, here, take my quarter, take my quarter, take my quarter.
Bewitched, bewitched, you've got me in your spell. Bewitched,
Get it later.
bewitched,
We're actually rolling here. Busted. Let's chat about Bewitched. Sorry, chatter going on here. Hey, everything's going to the horses here. All right, this is a horse episode here. We're shooting on Warner Ranch right here. Notice the green cover, colorized, of course, but still, just to remain consistent, green cover on the horse because it's important. And so this is the downtown area of the Warner Ranch, and I think this is it for the Warner Ranch. Short of there being horse stables there, which I don't know that there is. If there are horse stables on the Warner Ranch, I've never seen it. So coming up, all right, so where are we? Let me see. Oh, so that's right near the Stevens house. That's across the street, the park, the Friends Fountain, yada, yada, yada. Now we're back in the studio with the baby who isn't Aaron or Diane Murphy, because in the early days, they actually had several babies they used back and forth. Of course, dark-haired babies, but babies can have dark hair and then turn blonde. My daughter, as my mother would say, her hair was coal black when she was born. She looked like a sick bird. She was fine, healthy. She just was very thin and had very dark hair, and she ended up to be blonde. Now she's brown. So you know how the hair goes. And Liz, I don't think, is a really blonde, right? I mean, you guys know this. Isn't she like a redhead, really? And of course, even though this is colorized, clearly it's already high lit. And then as we get into color, Liz is the beautiful blonde witch, right? That's kind of the shtick, whether you're looking at the animation or the whole run of the show, which just kind of went with what's going on at the time. Okay, so, and there's the green. I point out the green because there she is in a green dress. So what an interesting actress this is, huh? I don't remember her ever being in anything down the road. Again, you guys know so much more than I do. I say that all the time, but it's totally true because some of you folks who I appreciate so much. Oh, I want to say something. I got to remember to say it. Who I appreciate so much. Go into the comments. I read the comments. If you notice, you read each other's comments as well. So it's not just about you posting a comment to me, though. Trust me, I appreciate everything and learn as well. But you are learning from each other. All right, let's see what this one is. Okay, hold on. Let me juggle everything here. Oh, this is season 2. This is season 2, episode 25. The 61st episode they ever made, called The Horse's Mouth. Directed by William Asher, written by Paul David and John Green. It'll be coming up here in a second. Oh boy, do I have something weird to tell you about this episode. I'm about to tell you one of the weirdest things you've ever heard of any episode about a guest star. There it is, who wrote it. There it is, who directed it. I know the Tommy Lee thing, if you watch previous Bewitched chats, and the Pamela Anderson thing was weird. This is weirder. All right, this was shot on January 17th, 1966, aired on March 3rd, 1966. Okay, so Patty Reagan is her, the woman who played the horse, and Robert Sorrells plays Gus Walters. Dude, when I tell you about this guy, you're gonna freak. Trust me, that's everything. All right, we'll wait till we get to him. So you probably know, maybe you don't, Liz loved horses. Like, I think maybe the number one thing in her life that she loved more than anything else. That you'll see, and animals in general. But when it comes to animals, she loved horses and was always pushing. I don't mean that in a bad way, suggesting, recommending, highly suggesting this would make me happy to have animals in the show. That's why there are nonstop animals in this show. But boy, did she love horses. This episode takes us to the horse races, which she loved going to the horse races. Um, the Hollywood track, what's it called? So I know right where it is. I think it's in Santa Anita. I've been there. I drove by there 8 billion times. I had been there a couple times. I'm not a better. I'm not a gambler at all. I just feel like even a quarter in the slot machine is saying, "Here, take my quarter, take my quarter, take my quarter." Maybe I'm a pessimist that way. I do not. Gambling doesn't do it for me. Uh, Liz loved it. She loved betting on the horses. She loved horses. Okay, we're back on Warner Ranch. Oh, look, that Texaco gas station. I didn't see it down there. See how things, I've just talked about that before. People think the Warner Ranch was just the way it was. It morphs over time. Blondie Street and that park and those houses, the brownstone houses behind the park, were the things, and that little haunted house that was Sheila's house. I say it was the haunted house because it's used as a haunted house in a lot of movies. We're always consistent. We're always there, down to the day everything tore down. But it morphed. It changed. Blondie Street, which is where the Bewitched house is, Partridge Family, Leave It to Beaver, I Dream of Jeannie, all that stuff, always stayed the same, and in lots of movies as well. Okay, um, so okay, aggressive episode or not, again, this is medium, so they're shooting a lot on this in the studio at the Stevens house, using the backyard a lot because they've got this giant horse. And Warner Ranch, they're going to Warner Ranch to shoot some. And was Liz ever on Warner Ranch? And then to the stables in the horse race. The horse race itself is a set, which we will see. The stables, I just don't know. I'll bet I know there were stables in Griffith Park, which wasn't far from there. If I were a betting man, which I just said I'm not, I'm going to bet they shot at Griffith Park. Griffith Park is a park in between Burbank and Glendale. I lived in Glendale. Burbank was right down the street, so I'm 10 minutes from Warner Ranch, where I live. And people shot a lot at Griffith Park. Griffith Park is a giant park in, I don't know what I want to call it. It's not northern LA, north of Hollywood would be the way to say it. Not far, 20-minute drive maybe. There's the co-star Gus. And they shot a lot there. And you'll see they're going to shoot in stables. Not a lot, but there's definitely on location shooting in stables, and I just don't know where they were. It'd be so cool if there was someone out there who, like, knew budgets and things. Like, I'd love to know, how much did they pay to shoot on Warner Ranch? Because, again, it's not free. You have to book that stuff. And it's always interesting to me how much people, because the episodes run in any TV show to this day, run the gamut at how much they cost. All right, see that guy? Let me just tell you right now and just get it out of the way, because it's so bizarre. That dude right there playing the guy who I guess is a friend of Darren's, a coworker, I wasn't paying attention, who wants to date the horse. Dolly Rand is the character's name. Dolly is the horse's name. Dolly Rand is who they're calling the character. So this guy, later in life, I think he lived in North Hollywood, went to his local neighborhood bar, got into a fight with someone there, went home and got a gun, went back to the bar, shot him dead, and shot someone else, went on trial for 2 murder charges. One, I don't think the second guy died, but ended up going to prison for murder. How about that? How about that for behind the scenes bizarreness? And that just goes to show, I've talked about before, actors are weird anyway, and you just don't know who you're working with, what they're into, what they're all about, who they could be. But oh my God, could you imagine? Could you imagine that dude? He died in prison. He's not alive anymore. But that guy right there is a murderer. Not according to me, but according to the whole legal court system. How crazy is that, right? Whew. All right, let's go back into the story. So this horse escapes from the downtown area, from the the horse trailer. ends up miraculously, just by happenstance, in the Stevens backyard. Samantha is trying to say, "Hey, who are you? What's going on with you?" Well, I can understand you better if I turned you into a person, and whooshing. Now the horse is a person. This person, Dolly Rand, which again, you gotta. I've talked about breakdowns before. When they're casting something, they send these sheets to agents about what they're looking for. Look, Liz's hair is long there, isn't it? Wow. Sends these breakdowns to all the places, and what would it read? We need someone who looks like a horse. We need someone to play a horse. They have to look like a horse. They probably said things like rubber face, could very full of expressions and all that stuff. Now her hair's kind of long. Isn't that long for her? The next one we're going to do is Hippie Serena, where she's the blonde Serena, where she has really long hair, but of course that's a wig. But that's really long hair for her, isn't it? And thick and a lot of hair. Extensions? I don't know. Did they have extensions back then? Probably, right? I don't know. Did they have extensions in the 1960s? These are the things I just don't know. All right, so let's take a look. What's going on here? This is a friend of Darren's or whoever he is. Later in life, a murderer, who's a day player here. Cast again, interesting casting there. Why did they cast him for this role? Because it has to be, and we need a guy who looks like he would date a horse. We need a guy who looks like he would date a woman who looks like a horse. But again, all these things go into casting and the characters. I don't think he ever appeared in any other episodes. I know he didn't appear in any episodes at some point in time. But so not a lot of horse yet, just the one in the backyard. But now we're going to come to a time where it's nonstop horse. Okay, so they're hooking up. Darren's figuring out something's off. So he's saying, Samantha, hey, what's up? And she's going to say, well, maybe she's a horse. Okay, so now to me, her hair doesn't look as long there. It's almost like she got a haircut. It's definitely not as full. Again, not to state the obvious, these things are not shot in sequence at all. We're going to shoot all the living room stuff, then we'll shoot all the kitchen stuff, then we'll shoot all the backyard stuff, then we'll shoot all the Warner Rand stuff, then we'll shoot all the Sable stuff. So you can see there are a lot of what's called setups in this episode. They were popping around a lot. So yeah, her hair looked totally different in the living room, but this is probably a whole different day. And again, without stating the obvious, there's no reason to say, oh, well, they're shooting this later that night just because it's nighttime outside, right? You know that. I don't want to sound real stupid. But they could shoot this early in the morning or at high noon because they're in a studio and they just light outside of windows, whatever they're supposed to look like, night or day. And again, because this is black and white, they can really play with lights and darknesses better here than they did in the past. All right, so here we go. Now we're going to get into the discussion, and they're going to end up at the horse races coming up here. And there's Dolly Rand and the murderer. I need to leave it alone. Okay, now you know he's a murderer. I'll never say it again. Just fascinates me because, again, you just work with all kinds of people. There are definitely people that you work with when you do this for a living that are just so weird. You think that person could be a serial killer. This just happens to be true this time. Okay, there's the coffee pot behind her with the candle that I still say one day I want to get. See it? It's just always there. That on the right side, the one that they put on tables sometimes. And then there's the percolator on the stove. I know some people who still really like percolators and still use them. When I say some people, I'm thinking of one. But there are people who still like percolator coffee. I couldn't get it. I would have no clue how to do it. I'm sure I'd burn it. All right, second season.
Good night, Samantha. That was a great dinner.
We're letting Gus go home. Dolly Rand is sticking around, and somehow they're going to end up at the horse tracks here. We're like over halfway through the episode. For some reason, in my mind, there was a lot more horse in this episode. So far, everything's pretty simple. They're shooting at home in the they previously shot on the Rands for the opening of it. But in terms of the leads, in terms of Liz and Dick and what was her name, Patty, they're all just hanging out in the set. They could have. So let's talk about that. There's her hair long again. See, we're back in the living room on the day they shot there. I'd swear between the living room and the kitchen, she got a haircut. I could already hear people say, no, in the kitchen it was the curlers were wound tighter or whatever it is. But I don't know. Her hair looks like the longest I've ever seen it, I think. And certainly fluffy and perhaps extensions. I don't know. All right, so I'm trying to half listen. Oh, that's it with the storyline. Okay, so she's supposed to be, yeah, this is part of the story, which I should talk about. So the horse, Dolly, is supposed to be in a race, and she hates her trainer. Did you notice when he came in the back? She's like, "Don't tell him it's me," because the trainer just treats her like dirt. There's another horse that she's jealous of who gets all the attention and gets all the good races. And she's like, I just know if I could just have this one more race or get one more shot, I'd show them what I'm really made of. And I think that's how they end up at the horse races again. So there's that mirror that pops in and out from time to time. And okay, here we go. So now this, all right, file footage. Obviously, they didn't go to the horse track and say they never went to the horse track, really, and say we want to rent out the horse track and have you run a pretend race with 1,000 extras and have us shoot it. What would happen is there are actually companies out there to this day, and now they have names and amateurs can do them, like Pond 5. What are some other ones? There are a lot of them that I should know off the top of my head. That even an amateur like you, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but you could shoot video on your phone, upload it to these websites, and movies and TV shows, because again, movies are really shot on video these days, can buy it, pay like a royalty fee to use it in their movie. Somewhere where that happens a lot is, for example, in Hallmark movies. I've talked about those before. You see, that's not a set. They're definitely stable somewhere. Anyway, so there's nothing new. The big new thing about it today is anyone can do it. And some people make really good money, especially, I'll just tell you this. If you live in a small town and can get some good generic pictures of that small town, like the main street, you can't show faces up close. So they have to be kind of wide shots. And then if you can get shots around Christmas and that type of thing, I guarantee you they have to be, well, but again, with phones these days, you don't have to worry about exposure and all that stuff. Your phone will do a great job. Create an account, upload it to these sites, and you could see your footage used in a Hallmark movie. I'm telling you, it's really, really easy to do, and it's a really easy way to make money. So check it out. Check out video sharing sites. Just Google it, and you'll see lots of them. Okay, so there's the Santa Anita racetrack. That's what I call it. I think it's called the Hollywood racetrack, maybe, but it's not in Hollywood. There wouldn't be room in Hollywood. Hollywood's actually a very small town, as in not metaphorically, but physically. Hollywood is just not that big. There would be nowhere for that to go. So if you go up, if you just want to know map-wise, because you could, if you want to Google it, it'll still be there. You can, I think it's still there. Just go north Hollywood, just go up the 101 freeway and turn right. If you're going on maps on the 134, where it turns into the 210, I'm pretty sure, you'll see the Hollywood racetrack right there in Santa Anita. But I don't think this is at the Hollywood racetrack. I'm guessing, like I said, at Griffith Park. So what's happening here in the story is Dolly Rand is telling them who to bet on, because of course she knows all these people. Now Liz is loving being here. I will bet in between takes she's spending all her time with these horses, and she loves the horse track. Where they're showing them in the stands now, that's set, and those are, again, lots of extras back there. Not a ton, but a lot of them. That's foul footage. That's foul footage. And that is studio and extras. Now, I will tell you that when you watch it in black and white, you can't really tell. When you watch it in colorized black and white, you especially can't tell, because they can really match the colors better. But when you watch it in the early days of color, and not even super early, if you even think of the Bewitched episodes where she goes to Europe, like the last season, and they'll use a lot of stock footage, like a shot of London, and then they'll cut into their hotel room. The quality is just so different, you can tell that it's not real, as in file footage or stock footage. You just really can't in these older episodes because with black and white, things were clearer, but when color came, they weren't. Okay, so this guy, of course, I don't think I said his name, is in several Bewitched episodes. He's good. Small little guy. Great character actor, does a great job. And Dolly Rand. Okay, so what's happening in the story now? See how she's laughing like a horse? And Liz isn't getting jiggy with it. She's not amused. So, in the story, he's actually saying now, the problem is I can't find Dolly Rand. Maybe that was the whole horse's name. And my big star horse, the one that she's jealous of, went lame, meaning, sprained her ankle or whatever that means. And now Dolly, the woman, is saying, geez, if I could just be in that race, I know I'd win it. I'd have a chance. I'm so sure. So Samantha, of course, is going to do her thing, turn her back into a horse. She's going to turn up and she's going to run the race. Now, the question is, will she win or will she lose? Okay, she right there, she said, tell that nice man, whoever his character name was it Gus or is that his real name, to bet everything he has on Dolly Rand because I'm going to win it. Now, the reason that I say, will she win it or not, 9 times out of 10, back in these days, things always ended happy. It was always a happy ending, right? In our day and age, I tend to think they like things to end sad. We don't get a lot of happy endings, short of the Hallmark Channel that I previously talked about, where everything's going to end up great, everyone's going to get back together. There's Dolly Rand back in her green tarp saying, hey, you're there, let's put you in the race. By the way, her odds, because you aren't going to be able to hear them, are 99-1. So she is slated to lose this race. Anyway, but even back then, there he is. Even look at the thing. Remember the ID bracelet? That was a thing back then, and I think for decades afterwards. I just don't remember if I think diabetics wore them, but other people could wear them just for fashion as well. And I don't even know if people like a diabetic or someone who is prone to seizures or whatever it is. Again, apologies, don't know. I'm just noticing it there that he's wearing that ID bracelet that I'll bet is his in real life. I'll just bet that. Because again, these day players and extras, certainly, they wore their own clothes. They had to be approved and everything. But someone probably just said, yeah, keep the bracelet. It's okay. Should I take this off? No, keep it. It's kind of that, especially back then, that chill. Now everything's super controlled, but it just wasn't super controlled back then. But yeah, I find this episode, the casting of this episode, truly unusual. I have to say, for me, this episode is, I could take it or leave it. Of course, it's always nice to have a Bewitched episode, but the reason that I chose this for a Bewitched chat is just to talk about how much Liz loved the horses and how she was into it so much so that there are even things I know that Bill told me secretly that I still won't talk about to this day. I mean, it's nothing like earth-shattering. But he said, just don't tell anybody. And I'm like, okay, cool. And just so you know, it wasn't like it's nothing bad. Like she was a horrible gamblaholic or whatever they're called. Addiction to gambling. It wasn't anything like that. Just suffice it to say, she was very, very into horses her whole life. And they were just very important to her. All right, so I know, I'm sorry to get so quick. That was not cool. But, I'm trying to make the point that Liz just loved horses, like a lot. So I'm sure she, even though I don't like this episode, I don't know how you feel about it, she just wasn't all that into it. Or she was totally into it, I mean. And I'm guessing that's why she did this, because we know for a fact they have all gone on record that all those animal episodes, all of the stuff with whether it's a frog or a goat or a goose or a cow, whatever it is, they did that because Liz asked for that. She loved having live animals in the episodes, and that was not easy to do, by the way, because when you introduce animals, not only does it screw up production and take more time, but again, they're pooping everywhere. You got to get them to do the right thing. It's all about the animal. It's not about the actors anymore. So it's not easy to say, let's have animals in the show. Like, especially when she was queen, right? And things like that, where there are birds flying around, goats walking around. It's just crazy. It's crazy. It's very hard. takes an episode from medium difficult to very difficult because it's hard to work with animals. Here, they're only working with one. Well, they had the one horse in the stall, and they have the belly ran. Okay, never mind. She won. Now you know. I just had to give you that little tease of will she win or won't she win. But of course, belly ran won. Is that the end, or do we have a little? Oh no. So here's a little closer. With the trainer and the trophy and the wreath, and now not only does she win the race and end, but now she's going to be the new champion, the new star. She was 99-1, they won, and Dolly Rand, the horse, is now going to have a good life. So I always find it interesting to watch, and you probably too, how Liz interacts with animals, because there's just did you notice how she didn't flinch? I think most people, if a horse went like that with that giant head, you'd flinch a little bit. None of that with her, because she loved it, and she was very much in her place where she loved, and very comfortable in that situation. So that's it. For me, that's not a very exciting episode. It's like, okay, that's interesting. Other than the murderer, dude, that's just some bizarre trivia. But so there you have it. A very mediocre Bewitched chat, in my opinion, because there's just not a lot to say other than that one thing. But I wanted to include it just because Liz loved horses so much, and that has to be the most horsed episode that Bewitched ever done. There were a lot of horses, of course, in Bewitched. Paul Revere, when she's the playwright. If you notice, when you think about it, there are a lot of horses in Bewitched. Okay, we'll leave it at that. All right, so the next one's going to be Serena, the hippie, the blonde-headed hippie. Here's a trivia question for you. So that Serena in the next Bewitched chat, that's not something that's my wife, it's called. Serena has blonde hair. Why does she have blonde hair? Because that was the first time we ever meet Serena, and they haven't settled into it or not? Or is that not the case? We'll find out next time. So until then, keep the magic alive and magic in your heart, and we will catch you next time.
I never thought my heart could be had, but now I'm caught and I'm kinda glad to be